Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Berry, and I run SA Sports Press. And so tonight we're doing an interview with Jean-marc Johannes. Okay. And before we start talking to Jean-marc, I thought, well, let me be clever and see what AI says about him. Okay. So I did a Google search. And this is what came up. What I put up in Google search, I said, South Africa's #1 skateboarder. Okay, and this is what came up. Jean-marc Johannes is South Africa's highest achieving international skateboarder, holds multiple Guinness World Records, is a professional skateboarder from Athlone, Cape Town, who has won gold, silver, and bronze medals in the World Series. In 2023, he held the Guinness World Records, including the most skateboard 360 frontside spins in 30 seconds, and the most consecutive skateboard ollies. Now, brilliant, eh? Now, that's just awesome. But my first question is, what is an ollie?
An ollie.
Yeah.
Ollie is basically in skateboarding. There's obviously unlimited amount of tricks, but the ollie is the single most important trick in skateboarding, aside from actually riding the skateboard. So the ollie is where the board just lifts off the ground and lands back on four wheels.
Okay.
So ollie is basically the way you learn everything else. Without ollie, you won't get kickflip, you won't get any of the I would say more flashier looking tricks.
Okay.
But yeah, ollie is the basics, definitely.
Okay, I think there was maybe, and I might be giving my age away. It's one of the first. It's a trick I learned 40-something years ago, but in those days we skated for speed, and then there was no real tricks. You do that, like you say, an ollie, like a little jump, and that was pretty much it. We'd lie down on our boards and we'd go for speed, and
nice.
we'd play games where you're kicking each other off the board and this kind of stuff. But yeah, the trick boards and that they weren't around. Everything was about speed, and I think it's opposite these days, where everything, except for those long boards and their speed down the hills, it's all about the tricks that you guys do.
Yeah.
Which much appreciated, because I skinned my hands and skinned my knees trying any of those kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure you've done the same.
Oh yes, definitely. I've lost count.
Yeah.
I've lost count, definitely. But I think speed definitely in skateboarding, and I mean in tricks that I do and tricks that I see everyone else do, speed and learning how to flow with your tricks.
Okay.
Is very important, and it's something that I've learned the hard way, learning how to just keep the flow, keep the speed going.
Yeah.
Especially if you in the park, we're trying to keep a line.
Yeah.
So speed is something that you definitely have to keep with you, and something you have to understand. It's like it has to be part of what you're doing. So I mean, definitely it's part of the flow and how you keep the flow in your line.
Yeah.
And it also just makes a specific or a single trick just look much better. Definitely do with a bit of speed.
Yeah, I actually watched one of your videos where you were just sort of warming up for the day, and I could see that the rhythm, the flow, keeping it moving. I suppose all those kind of things like inertia and everything, and that they happen within the board, and it is speed and momentum that is making these things happen, as well as your skills. Yeah. So that's great. But why don't you give us a little bit of a background, sort of where you were born, schooling, and how you got into skateboarding?
Yes. So I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm from Athlone in Cape Town. And I started skateboarding. I was about nine years old when I originally saw skateboarding for the first time in primary school.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I wasn't even interested. I never thought of anything about skateboarding until I saw it. I didn't think of it as something that I would actually end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it in school. I saw the kids playing and just going home on their boards and just having fun after school as well, sometimes during break times.
Yeah.
And I went to Johnson Primary School, and that's where I saw it for the first time. And eventually I built up the courage just to, just ask one another, can I try a board? and I just fell off immediately. But you know, as it happens, but I immediately just, you know, I was drawn to it. It was just such a good feeling to be on the board. And when I went home, I eventually asked my parents for a board, and my parents go to the back, and out comes their old skateboard from
Yeah.
when they started skateboarding back in their day. And for them, it was something that they didn't think I would actually take up skateboarding, but they were happy to see that I was happy.
Yeah.
They knew how much I struggled with sport in school because of uh, growing up chronic asthmatic.
Yeah.
So it was something for them to see. Okay, he's found something that, you know, he can do in his own time, no pressure, and he's happy.
Yeah.
And of course, which I was. And I did not know anything about skate parks or anything like that. I just knew it was me and my board and whatever, you know, these moves were called.
Yeah.
Um, and it started for me around 9, 10 years old, and I eventually started going to the skate park with my friends on the weekends. I never lived too close to the nearest skate park, so on the weekends, you know, one of our parents would take us to the
Yeah.
park, and
Yeah.
we'd be there, and I'll just watch the guys, watch a lot of pros come in, and, you know, doing amazing tricks. And then eventually I would just kind of watch and kind of grasp what they're doing and try to learn what they're doing, not knowing really what tricks, most of the names. I just wanted to learn the ones that look cool
Yeah. I'm sure.
first.
Like every teenager and youngster. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I struggled to ollie, but when I saw tray flip, 360 flip, you know, this is something I want to learn that one. And
Yeah.
I realized the hard way it didn't work like that. So I eventually got into it, got into skateboarding. A lot of my friends helped me just learn how to do it. And then a year into skateboarding, I was entered into a contest at this local skate park. Just a bit of a joke. Friends
Yeah.
put my name down. And I just went with the joke, and I entered the contest, and I ended up winning.
Oh, brilliant, man.
That was about a year, just about a year in, and it was something that really kind of stuck with me since that day, because I realized, okay, wow, you know,
Got a skill,
this,
got a talent.
and
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed, as much as I enjoyed just skating every day and just being on the board when I was competing. The feeling of just progressing and having that opportunity to progress and see if you can actually do something, I was so drawn to that feeling.
Yeah.
And it kind of was in the same line of me learning a new trick. You know, you do it for
Yeah.
hours.
And
So
mastering it and yeah.
and mastering it, and then I was in a obviously a situation of a competition where I had the opportunity to see if I could land this trick in, you know, in one try or two tries or whatever the case. So I was immediately drawn to that, and ever since that day, I never left it alone,
Yeah.
and found myself.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling when that happens, when it sort of comes together, when and you know that, I don't know, maybe you all of a sudden found a place where you belong, which I think a lot of youngsters and teenagers and that you're going through that where your peers are like, you know, oh, that's brilliant, you know, it's well done. It's not only your parents anymore, but your peers. So you're finding a place where you belong, you know, and I think that's brilliant. And that sort of brings me, you said like a skate park, you know. I see, like watching in your video, that skate park that you skate at. I mean, that's amazing, that place. That's brilliant. Where is that? Huh?
Definitely. So that's called the Shred Skate Park in Pardon Island, and it's an indoor park,
Yeah.
and they have both street and park, so they have both disciplines. And the nice thing about the Shred Skate Park is, you know, the guys that built the skate park, I've been skating pretty much every park they've built since I was 10 years old. So they've known me since I was a kid.
Okay. I'm sure you'll give you a lot of support and backing and encouragement. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm sure, you know, those facilities are amazing. I was in Joburg, Central Town, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it's one of the, I think it's like Freedom Square or something. I'm just trying to remember. and there was a bunch of like city kids, and there was like it was every city kid you could think of, every race, every age, everything, every skateboard
Yes.
was wrecked. It wasn't wrecked. It was nice, and these guys
Yeah.
were like trying all like what you're doing, like these rails along the edge of the steps and the jumps and everything. And I just thought,
Right.
geez, this is absolutely amazing. The guys with BMX bicycles were there. And
Oh, nice.
it was absolutely amazing that these guys were just able to express themselves, and it was like disciplined. Like there was a line, everybody took their turn, and it was a community, And I thought to myself, geez. And then when I saw your skate park there that you're operating, to have one of those in the inner city, and that I'm not sure if there is or not. I haven't checked out, but I just think it's imperative that those kind of things are to give those youngsters an opportunity that
Definitely.
don't all have parents and everything to give us a lift. Parents work all day, and to just get out there, and it's fitness, it's health, it's
Exactly.
community, yeah, and it's uplifting. It's when you pull off a trick, it's uplifting. You know,
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also the trial and error that goes with it.
yeah,
You start to learn, in my opinion,
yeah,
if you start to learn resilience, you start to learn something that you don't learn everywhere else.
yeah,
So unless you're in the situation and you get yourself through the situation on your own. So it's when you think of an idea of a trick, it's all in your mind. It looks impossible, but you start chipping away, and maybe a day goes by, maybe months go by,
yeah.
or a year, and eventually you end up landing it. And that type of lesson, I've learned in skateboarding. I've just basically applied it to every other part of my life.
Keep
So
on
and
working at it, step by step.
learning at a young age is very important,
Yeah,
and it's something like, when I found skateboarding for the first time, not only was it my like escape, it was happiness. It's happiness to me every single day, but it was also helping me get through a lot of other things in my life. So, for example, coming out of hospitals, and kind of getting back into a normal life.
yeah,
Skateboarding helped me get through that period.
yeah,
There was a bit of a sense where you felt a little bit alone because you're not in getting into teams, you're not getting into sport, and you feel this little bit of demotivation. So skateboarding, when I go home and I
yeah,
learn a trick on
yeah.
my own, it just gives back that motivation that I wasn't
Yeah,
there. So
yeah, it makes you you got to sleep at night and you want to get up tomorrow and do that trick again. It gives you something to reach for tomorrow. And I think
exactly.
that's one of the great things about sport. And not everybody's built for team sport. It's the way of things. So a lot of people need their individual sport where they can chip away, like you say, succeed at something small and build on it, and along the way, it actually becomes a team sport because you end up with supporters, like
Exactly.
like like your parents in the beginning, and then your family. And I suppose you've got quite a big support, it's quite a big support group around you now, and which you've built up.
Yes,
You know,
yes. I'm really grateful for it. And a lot of the time, it's a lot of people I've grown up skateboarding with. So it's a journey that we've all gone through in our own way.
yeah,
We've all kind of been there for each other in certain ways. So I mean, even some of the other skateboarders, and I've seen them win. With my own eyes, I've seen them go through, learning how to do a trick, and been there when they're trying to film something. They've been there when I'm trying to get something right. So we all have this the same synergy,
yeah,
and since for very young, since we were very young, and we still have it, and we both kind of gravitate to that same thing, whether we're in a competition or we just having fun at the park. Sometimes I'll meet them at the session,
yeah.
and it's always the same energy. So it's amazing.
Yeah, that high five when you're 10 years old or 30 or 50 and you pull something off, it means the same,
Oh yeah.
and one of your buddies give you a high five and you go, it's cool. You pulled
Yes.
something off, succeeded at something you wanted to. So tell me your role models and maybe your favorite skateboarder or role models. Have
Yes.
you had or do you have?
I have so many. Yeah, I have so many role models in skateboarding. And a lot of the names, obviously it's world renowned names. It's, the likes of Tony Hawk,
Yeah.
the likes of Paul Rodriguez, Nigel Houston, Shane O'Neill, a lot of skateboarders that has, not just done amazing things in skateboarding that has, created the, the world we live in skateboarding, but are continuously doing whatever they can to, help skateboarding progress to a new level every single time,
Yeah.
and helping others progress to a new level. And that's so important, and it just shows, how much of, how legendary they
Sure,
are.
sure. They've sort of they've carried it on their shoulders, but at the same time doing the work. Yeah, going back to the guys in the beginning and everything. Like, is it? Has I haven't double checked. Has it become an Olympic sport?
Yes, it has.
It
Yes, it
has,
has.
hey? Yeah, it
Yes,
has.
yes.
So,
And
yeah,
I think it's
that's great because to become an Olympic sport, it has to have certain recognition, amount of people interested and everything, which means it's really grown from like the days when I was a kid and you'd just skateboard down the road and you could, when you'd go on the back of the board and you'd just like to put brakes on, you go and so you could go
yeah,
the longest.
tail stop, guys.
Stoppies or whatever. Yeah, and
That's
so to see it have grown to become an Olympic sport just shows what you said, like about Tony Hawk and those guys that have just grown this thing immensely. It's amazing, huh?
And I mean, look, if you look at, in my opinion, I always knew that I was going to get to a very high level. From the beginning, when with X Games,
Yeah,
and Street League,
yeah,
and a lot of these competitions that are on TV, and everyone around the world knows about it. It was going to become one of the biggest things in the world, definitely.
yeah. I don't know if, to keep that vision, um, and belief in yourself, belief in your sport, and have that vision from the days when you're like getting chased out of the mall because you're not allowed to skateboard there, and then where you're going to skate and this and all that kind of stuff, to where
Yes.
it is today, where the mall is saying, "Hey guys, we're going to have a competition in the car park," and
Right.
we're going to put in ramps and we're going to have everything going. It's just amazing. It is brilliant, and yeah, big ups to all those guys that did it, and I think guys like you, and not to put like a pressure on you that you sort of owe back to the community or anything. I think just by doing what you do is gives the community and the kids and everybody else in South Africa a little bit of hope, and more than South Africa. It's international, and I think. Yeah, I think it's brilliant the way skateboard is growing. On that side, what's your favorite trick?
My favorite trick now currently
Yeah,
is hard flip, and there's also another variation called the ghetto bird. So it's hard flip, late backside 180.
yeah.
But if I had to pick just one, narrow it down, it would definitely be hard flip.
Okay. I think what we need to do, or you need to do, somewhere along the line, it'll be really cool to do a glossary of tricks. I don't know if you have a video starting from A
Yes,
to Z and show that these are the tricks, and
definitely.
yeah, and where it goes and where it develops. I saw that new little trick you got there, that little, what's it, like a double rail or a side, one, you come, that new one you had on
Yes.
Instagram. That's cool.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. It was actually just a combination trick that
Yeah,
I've had in my mind
yeah,
for some time, and it was a little bit strange that day because I've never tried this combo before in any session, but I went to I went to bed with this idea, and I woke up and I still had this idea, and I left and I went straight to go try it, and then one of my friends was over there, and he was, "What are you doing?" And I said, "No, I need to try this to see if it works." And eventually, it came together. It actually kind of worked in my mind. It
yeah,
was a bit dangerous
yeah.
to try it, but I didn't warm up or anything. I just went straight into the session, and I had to bring this idea into reality.
Yeah,
Um,
it looked so smooth. It really looked so cool, so smooth. It was just like shoo, shoo. Yeah,
so
and the balance and everything was just like it was just great. It was a really nice trick. Um,
thank you.
on that side,
Well,
are you allowed? Is there in international competition? Is there a law against a rule against the dangerous? Can you do a trick if it's dangerous or not allowed, or do you just get more points for doing a dangerous trick?
right. You won't. There's no law against the tricks in terms of risk factor. Actually, risk factor plays quite a big role in the points you get. For example, in a street section, if you're doing this like two different ways, technical tricks is obviously it's a risk trick because it's like flips or flip in, flip out type of thing, or you're jumping down big stairs or big rails. So those type of tricks tend to score a little bit higher. I've seen in contests. So definitely risk factor plays a part, and
you've got to be rewarded for some risk, eh? You know,
and I think and also risk with a little bit of with everything under the same
with
thing.
the flair and the skill and everything like that.
It's definitely.
That is what you watch like all the competitions. I watch like the Red Bull, that downhill race and everything like that, and you just go, "Jeepers, awesome, dude!" And he just drops off and he flies and he does a backflip over that big long ramp and that, and you've got to score those guys high, for putting in that kind of energy into something, it's got to be rewarded. And so here you go, you've got all these accolades, and I believe you've traveled around the world skateboarding, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And
yes.
Have you had sponsors that have carried you on these journeys?
Yes. There's been recent brands that have supported me. But in the beginning, and somewhere in between here and there, it's also self-funded. So, for example, the World Series, when I just got into it, was self-funded. And it was difficult. It was very difficult. And it also gave me a lot of motivation because, for example, going to the World Series and knowing that this could be maybe your only opportunity to get out of the contest for the year, or maybe last, you never know. That kind of thing, to me personally, definitely switched something, in my head when I was out there competing. And so it was definitely difficult, but in my mind, what I initially obviously wanted to do was compete in more competitions, and progress, and just work my way up the ladder, essentially. So
look, I mean, it's not easy, and I think we've got to be grateful for when you can pull a sponsor. Like I say, SA Sports Press, one of the things on there is sponsorship applications, which we just put out to people. We put out on the website, and we hope somebody gets something. We're not in a position to sponsor. I'd love to be in a position to sponsor. Personally, having been through it and raising money and everything to go overseas, fly the flag for South Africa, and you do, whether you self-funded or you sponsored or you supported or anything, you end up flying that flag proudly, and it's great. And I think as more opportunities arrive for people, hopefully the sponsors come on board and everything like this. And through one of these video interviews and your newspaper articles and putting yourself out there, hopefully some of that comes your way on the sponsorship side. So the FISE, how do I say it? FISE?
Oh, yes, it's just FISE.
FISE, right. Fast Champs World Series. How does that work?
So it is open. There you get your pro and your pro am open. So there's basically a qualification round, and then from qualification rounds you go into semi-finals, and then of course your finals.
And the qualification round, you did that here?
The qualification rounds are always international as well.
Oh, okay.
So it does put there's some pressure, and for when you go there and you obviously working away from qualification round all the way up. So to qualify, especially to qualify and then make the final and then make the podium, it is a lot to get there. It's tough every single time, of course, but it definitely gives you an opportunity to see where you stand with everyone, and actually shows how far you can go. Like if you're making the podiums consistently, gives you something to work with, and you can learn from that. And
Yeah.
you can try to progress to the next event. Next event, you can always try and better
Yeah.
yourself. So whether it be in qualification or semi or final,
Yeah.
and I always look at every single run of mine. So if it's just not just the final result, I look at what went wrong in
Yeah,
qualifications.
yeah. I mean, it starts at the qualification. You don't get through there. You're not going anywhere else. So that's almost like your final is the qualification.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The pressure's on you there that you put on yourself. All your expectations and your desires that you want from it. They happen there at that qualification. And once you get that little bit of, the judges say, "Yeah, cool, dude, you're through to the next round." You feel like, okay, I'm on the right path, and you become freer maybe in your expression. Weight of your shoulders relax a bit, and you sort of. I think it gets better from there on. Huh? So, where are you competing this year?
So I'll go back to the FICE World Series this year.
Okay, and that's in.
To my knowledge, all the stops are in Europe.
Uh-huh.
And it will be France, it will be somewhere else in Europe.
Okay.
So basically, it will be a European series as well, and hopefully there'll be more competitions that side. That maybe it's not part of FICE World Series, but I would definitely like to. If it's within the same time, I would love to be there.
Yeah, I'm sure that whole lockdown thing must have been just. Well, I don't know. You couldn't go to the park. You must have been going crazy in your head.
Definitely. It took me back to when I used the household obstacles, the old chairs that my parents didn't approve of me using.
Yeah.
And I turned those into obstacles. So
it's like, what did you break today? It's like, oh, yeah. But at the same time, that kind of alone time, and that gives you that time to focus and think about, the future. Where am I going with this? Okay, I'm going somewhere with this, and trying the little tricks. And I'm sure it actually takes pressure of competition off, and I'm sure some good came out of it. I think, I guess as a sportsman being locked inside, it wasn't easy. Huh? And sorry.
It was good to train in between as well, just to take the time to train physically, at home, and also gave me that space to reflect a lot on past competitions, and knowing that the next time I go into the competition, I can either go back with the same thing, or we can start with. We can start a fresh page, new tricks, new everything, new ideas, and that was up to me. And I'm glad I took that time to reflect on that.
Yeah, that's a very important point. That I like that way of thinking of. Yeah, it's time to create. You need time to create it. You're talking about fitness. What sort of I don't know, what fitness training do you do?
Yes, so I've been training for a long time. Some recent years was more specific to my sport, but before then I trained just to get healthier, after hospital and everything like that. So training was always part of the lifestyle. It's something I chose, and then it just benefited me being on the board every single day, and I started to realize that sooner and realize, okay, wow, I can actually skate for longer, or just physically I feel better. So now when I'm doing training with my conditional coach, he has kind of tailored the training to how I compete now. So how I compete now is very different to, a couple of years ago when I was a kid, and now I'm finding the strength that I've been looking for on the board, the confidence I've been looking for on the board. And it took time. He did tell me that it's not going to happen overnight. He just seemed to be willing to see it through. And I was thankful that I had that conversation with him, because if we didn't have the discussion, I think in the first 2 weeks, it was tough.
It was. Training. That's tough as a new thing in that. I remember when I was a teenager, I raced motocross, and in those days you used to talk about bike fitness. So all you did was you raced. You rode your bike. and as times have progressed, you realize that, no, hang on, you have to put in the extra work. It doesn't matter what sport you do. You use the gym to enhance your sport,
Yes.
to make you fitter, your reflexes faster, all that
yeah.
kind of stuff, your balance better, your core strength, all of this. And I think, so it's very important that I think even hopefully a lot of youngsters, they watch this interview and they realize, like, hey guys, get out in the skateboard, practice. It's very important that. But also maybe just stand there and balance. Go stand on a pole and balance. Go for a short run, that kind of stuff, and develop those kind of stuff. A few press ups, a few sit ups. Yeah, I think it's become vitally important.
Definitely, and even with the training that I do now, there is some strength training. A lot of the strength that I found in skateboarding is a lot of core strength.
Yeah.
There is a lot of endurance.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed that more often now, my recovery time is a lot faster.
Yeah.
Than it used to be. And just from feeling stronger on the board, being able to take certain bails that before physically I couldn't take. I just didn't. I could feel physically I wasn't strong enough to continuously jump down a set of stairs.
Yeah. It's a shock on the body, on the knees and everything, huh? Yeah.
Exactly. And even now, when I'm skating and even in contests, there's always a big section.
Yeah.
And one thing I found previously was that when I'm jump down something, I would feel it a lot more than I felt I should have been feeling it, and not being able to keep up with that consistency of it. But then when I start training, it's part of the session now. I would always actually enjoy jumping down some stairs or something, as opposed to I'm not sure how I'm going to feel if I fall or anything like that. So it gave me that confidence as well, aside from the physical aspect.
Well, I like that you're using the word confidence, which is the mental side. The fitter the fitter you are, the more the brain, the more the brain can be engaged. It's not exhausted. It can be, and then your tricks are going to be better. So the whole circle is so important, And I think, in any sport these days, you've got to put in some time. I'm not going to say at the gym. I'm not a great believer of just going to a gym. But using physical exercises that enhance your sports capabilities, I think that's vitally important. And hopefully, and to get a nice trainer, if you can click with your trainer, I think, and it sounds like you have, and I think that's important. Important relationship to have, Yeah.
Definitely.
So your Guinness World Records. Was that something you read about and said, hey, I'm going to give this a bash?
It was. And I saw a Guinness Book of Records when I was in primary school for the first time. It was in a library.
Yeah.
And I read the book, and I saw it was at the same time when I first found skateboarding, with the kids in the school. And I read this book of just amazing things, and I saw Tony Hawk in the book.
Okay.
And immediately, I just got into skateboarding, and I just wanted to read anything about skateboarding and see anything about skateboarding. And then I found Guinness Book of Records. This was before I knew about Thrasher magazine and all the skateboarding magazines. So I saw this, and immediately I thought, wow. This is amazing. If somebody would have told me this, I would have thought it was impossible. But I'm reading about it, and somebody has achieved it in this. So it definitely made me think different about myself. It gave me the confidence to think, okay, I can, if I wanted to, maybe sometime in life I could maybe achieve something like this. And thankfully, it worked out in the end. But definitely, it was a childhood dream, and I just followed through with it.
Yeah.
Just something I wanted to and pull off. Definitely. So I'm thankful to be able to do that.
It's amazing. To get into the Guinness Book of World Records, I think, every kid has something is like, oh, it's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and to be there, it's a wonderful achievement, and yeah, congratulations on that. And I think, yeah, I don't know, with sporting achievements, you can have a room full of trophies and gold medals and everything like that, and you look at it and you say, oh, great, I achieved that, but to have something in print in a book like the Guinness Book of World Records is like, I don't know, it's more forever. These days it's not in the book, it's on the internet, so it'll always be there, yeah, it'll always be there. That's brilliant. Your plans for the future this year, you're competing in fish, and what age are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 33.
33. And the skateboarders and the boarders that you're up against, are there a lot of people in your age group?
Yes, definitely. And a lot of the guys, it's, they just get better every year. It's unbelievable. The progression of skateboarding, it's bigger than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah.
From everybody, from skateboarders that are, just starting, how quickly they progress as well. It's amazing. And to the guys I compete with as well, the progression is unbelievable. There's literally nothing that's, you could say, can't be done.
Yeah.
It's
Well, like you said with that trick the other day, you imagined it, you saw it in your head, you imagined it. So it's really the creativity of the skateboarder itself that is the limitation,
Yes.
So yeah, I suppose that's just everything is just going to carry on. And how much does technology in the board itself, has that changed? Has it assisted?
It has changed a lot since I started, and it has assisted with certain tricks in that I do.
Yeah.
So, for example, before, when I just started skateboarding and boards I would ride, I never rode boards or trucks that were hollow inside and still had the same strength. So they were much lighter.
Yeah.
And they now make this type of trucks where it's hollow inside with the same strength. And that helps with a lot of technical tricks, a lot of flip tricks. Just your board being a lot lighter when you're doing something. And the quality of the wood, everything has just, it's grown so much and progressed so much over the years.
Yeah.
And
Are the boards the top quality boards, are they still wood, or are they carbon fiber or anything like that?
they would, and there's actually a mix. There are boards that there's mixed with carbon fiber and wood, which it's amazing. I've tried it before, and it's almost indestructible.
Which must be. I mean, how many boards have you been through in your life?
Wow. There's so many boards I wish that I just kept.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They all had to see their day, definitely. But those boards, they built to withstand the progression of skateboarding. So guys are jumping down bigger stairs, doing bigger rails, a lot more technical tricks. And the boards need to withstand them, not just the boards themselves, but also the longevity of the boards. So if guys are trying tricks that take months to try or weeks on end, or just in the session, if you're jumping on the board and in street skateboarding, a brand new board takes its toll in the first hour, definitely. So the board needs to definitely be able to withstand what you're doing.
Yeah.
And obviously, the innovation is there with carbon fiber and wood, and obviously hollow trucks as well. So I definitely think it's progressed to a very high level. And the nice thing about it is that a lot of the skateboarders have a lot of big input in that. So they're actually saying,
this is what we want, what we need.
This board's not strong enough, or these trucks don't last as long, or sometimes they can get very, very intricate. Where it's for example, there used to be riser pads just under the truck.
I remember them.
And now we don't skate with riser pads anymore.
Yeah.
And also now they just make the trucks so much stronger, so much lighter. So there's a lot of innovation. I think it will progress. Definitely.
Well, along with the innovation comes cost, and I'm pretty sure. Look, I think one of the things about skateboarding is it's not one of these extremely highly expensive sports to get into. I think, and that's very important because doing sport is not cheap. Um, I look at like just the prices of a top of the range hockey sticks and that kind of stuff. Just to and hockey boots, and then there's you can skateboard anywhere.
Right.
So you don't need the parks. It's nice to have them, but you can skateboard anywhere. You can get a
Yes.
skateboard and you can get out there and you can be skateboarding. And I think it'd be just it's just wonderful that for kids to get involved in. And
Definitely.
I think the nice thing about the sport in general is that you don't always have to be the skater. You can also be the skateboard park builder and being involved in there. You can be the promoter. You can be, there's a lot of facets to get involved in.
Definitely.
But like the nice thing you say, I can imagine the carbon fiber board is going to be pretty expensive, especially on the South African rand.
Yes.
But to
Yes.
start off in the sport is not really a highly expensive sport. And so really, I think, like you said, I think you were saying you suffered badly from asthma. So, running and all that kind of team sports, and you can't get in, you're feeling like the weakling as such.
Def-
I've seen it. I'm talking from a bit of experience where I've seen people suffer like this. And then they get into an individual sport where they find themselves. And it doesn't have to be an expensive sport, but like you say, like you did, they chip away at it, they work hard at it. And you know that the word kung fu means to work hard.
Yes.
That's what it means. It means to work hard at something towards perfection. And you say, well, that person's got good kung fu. It means that they've got the spirit and the tenacity to work hard at something. And I
Definitely.
and I always keep that in my mind. That kind of thing. Yeah, and I think that's what's led you to where you've become, got you. And I think maybe the passionate man that you've become, because from this interview I've picked up your passion of
Yes.
what doing what you love. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm so glad we had this interview and we've had this time to chat. And yeah, I want to wish you all the best of luck in future endeavors, but also in these competitions coming up. And
Yes.
I'm sure you've got some nice support now at home. You know,
Definitely.
which makes life easy, huh? Then even when you travel, back at home that somebody's got your back, and
Yes.
I think it's an awesome thing, huh? Absolutely awesome. So yeah, Jean-Marc, yeah, thank you. Is there anything you want to add?
Um, Firstly, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been an amazing conversation as well, and definitely, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has supported me and that continues to support me, and my wife, my family, and everybody for everything that they've done,
Uh-huh.
past and present. And just to everyone in skateboarding and in sport in South Africa, um, thank you for everything that you do, and everything that you are as people, as the 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 strength and everything that we carry in sport.
Yeah.
We've seen it in many occasions, not just in skateboarding. We've seen it in rugby. We've seen it in so many things. How much we impact the world, and we must never forget that. And I think for every athlete, we all have it in us, and that's something that we can be very very proud of as South African athletes.
Yeah.
And I just want to wish everybody well for the rest of the year and the many years to come. Hopefully, I cross paths with somebody, with most of you.
Yeah.
Um, but just thank you for everything that you do on and off the board, off the court, or whatever the discipline is. Um, Thank you for everything, and I wish
Yeah.
everybody the
Wonderful
best.
words. Wonderful words. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, fly the flag. We'll be watching for you. keep on putting on Instagram. You're doing wonderfully there, and I think that's how we connected. And that I saw something on Instagram, and I just thought this is. I love the story, and I think it's great. So keep us informed. Hey, send us videos, put it on Instagram. Let's have a look. And if you overseas, then you want to chat, and we do an interview, and let's see how you do. We set it up and we do it, and massive support from all of us in South Africa. All the best, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Jean-Marc. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.
Bye.